Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you are all safe and well. My name is Lisa Morton, and I am head of marketing for Incubeta, and I am joined by Joe, who is our presenter today for our webinar, SEO to the Rescue. Just before we begin, I'm going to take you through a few housekeepings. Today's webinar is going to be 30 minutes long. If you have any questions for Joe, you can put them into the chat on your right, and we are recording today's session. So if for some reason you have to pop out, or if you want to be able to share it with your colleagues, we will be emailing it to you either today or tomorrow. And then our presenter, Joe, he is Director of Search Experience at Incubeta, and he's been working for 16 years in digital marketing. So now, Joe, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you, Lisa. Afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me for this webinar. I'm coming live and direct from my daughter's nursery, so this is probably a first for everybody on the webinar, myself included. So I wanted to talk to you today about the title of this webinar is SEO to the Rescue, and that was partly in recognition of the pandemic that we find ourselves in currently, also in recognition that SEO is often overlooked as a viable channel, with a lot of the emphasis being placed on the paid media channels. There's a real opportunity to get SEO back on the table and help support your business and navigate through this current situation of COVID-19, but also through the other side, where there is a huge amount of value that SEO can provide now and in the future. So as I've kind of already alluded to, we're in this current situation of COVID-19. Marketers we're seeing some cutbacks on paid media, spends being curtailed in a number of areas, with spend being cut completely in some areas. And that presents SEO with a real opportunity. As I've mentioned, it's often overlooked as a channel, with the dependency being placed on paid media. It brings us with a real opportunity to get SEO back on the table. Advertisers and agencies and brands need to really start thinking about their marketing mix and reevaluating their strategies. And if you think about investing and prioritizing in SEO now, there's a real opportunity to lay the foundations for your business to support you now and through this situation into the new normal, whatever that might look like in the weeks and months ahead of us. So consumer behavior is already changing. We can see that 1 in 3 consumers have already changed their approach to shopping. As we're seeing consumers move from offline to an online world. Google's lost 7% of it in impression share from AdWords. So there's already a massive shift and change in how your customers, how your consumers are looking to interact with your marketing mix. And there's also been a huge adoption and uptake in the usage of mobiles as people get used to the lockdown. They're spending even more time at home. Mobile usage is significantly increasing, even more so than it was ever in the past. Luckily, in recent weeks, there seems to be a renewed interest in SEO. As I've kind of said, SEO's kind of played second fiddle for a long time and hasn't been the darling of media channels for a lot of brands and agencies, and often overlooked. But it feels like, and reading online and some of the trends in Google, particularly in the last few weeks, SEO is seeing a resurgence. So now the time is really ripe to get SEO back on the table. get it in front of your C-suite, your key stakeholders, and really push SEO now and to support you in the weeks and months ahead. So what value can SEO bring? One of the things that we often hear is that it's hard to measure. I've done my SEO, but if you look at the data, SEO is a cost-efficient model now and in the past. So this is a survey that was done by eConsultancy via eMarketer over a period of years, 2009, 2018, and 2019. And SEO was and remains one of the most efficient and viable channels for us as marketers, second only to email in terms of its ROI. And this study is based off of in-house marketers. So the feeling is that the SEO is a really cost-efficient investment for us as advertisers. And some of the pushbacks that we hear, you know, I've done my SEO, we get really good traffic from SEO. We don't need to look at it, and that it's really disappointing to hear when you hear advertisers come back with that, because a number of times when we go away and we start looking at the landscape of that advertiser and the technical implementation, yes, they are getting really good return on their organic, but actually it could be so much better, and just settling for okay isn't what you want as advertisers. You want your SEO to be working as hard as possible for you, as it can for you in this environment at the moment. An additional study that comes from Forrester was looking at the organizations that really prioritized and had to take a back step. The advertisers that really prioritized their SEO really saw a high level of profit being derived from that channel. And Forrester broke this report down into 3 categories. Optimizers being the mature execution of SEO, where SEO was championed at the most senior level within the organization. C-suite was bought in, and it was an enterprise-wide initiative in rolling out SEO initiatives and projects. And then there were maintainers and learners, and these were businesses and organizations that weren't as well set up to execute on SEO. So it's really important that we as SEOs are doing the utmost within our organizations and within our brands to champion the effectiveness and the power that SEO can have to support the business. And one of the key outtakes within the Forrester study was that the organizations that often related these initiatives back to ROI and championed education within the organization were often the organizations that were seeing the highest level of return for their investments. So hopefully you're all bought in now to SEO. If you weren't before you joined the call, or you had any doubts, let me reassure you, now and in the past, SEO is and remains a very profitable channel for you as an organization. So what we've looked at is the 6 things that we think you should be looking at within SEO right now to take advantage of that opportunity. And the first one is being aware of the trends. So what is a lot of bread and butter to most SEOs is Google Trends search behavior. At the moment, in the current situation, we are seeing a huge amount of fluctuation and change in how our users are interacting and how they are querying the search engines. There is so much change. It's such a dynamic environment. in this space at the moment that I recommend you guys checking in on this tool on a daily, if not twice daily basis. They update the results on an hourly basis, so you can kind of come back and review these periodically. And what you want to be doing with this is identifying the new key trends, the new themes that are coming out of this current environment that we find ourselves in. And this isn't something that is just applicable to the COVID-19 situation. This is something that we as SEOs, we as advertisers should be doing on a regular basis, more so now because of the current climate. But this is a behavior, a tool that you should be using on a regular basis within your organization to help inform your SEO strategy. So some of the things that we're seeing off of Google Trends at the moment is a move from offline to online, and some of the demand for products that you wouldn't expect really going wild in their demand. So this is a graph from Trends for flour. We get to kind of the March time, and it just goes through the roof. This is purely down to people being in lockdown, shortage of groceries. We've also seen demand for things like Ocado, groceries near me, local searches going through the roof as well. But this is more about people looking for things to do, alternatives to having to buy bread. We're also seeing huge spikes in searches around how to make. They have all increased dramatically. So really querying this data, really getting to the bottom of what is going on within the search demand is key to really understanding how the nature of search and demand has changed within your organization. And this can really be polarized more clearly in the yoga near me and yoga online data. So as you can see, as more and more people are moving from offline to online, that search trend has changed significantly. And it can really be more polarized to call out the nature of how people are thinking about moving from the store presence to really continuing their behaviors. There's still a huge amount of demand for people to continue their lifestyles and their passions, the fitness, the travel. The demand is still there. It's very much real. It's just changing in how we as advertisers need to think about creating content and seizing upon that opportunity. And in line with that, Google have created a coronavirus search trends. So this is at a global level, but you can also drill down into your geographic level territories. And there's loads of really cool and interesting information in here about rising trends, what people are querying. So I really encourage you to jump on Google Trends and look at these platforms. There's so much information that's applicable to any vertical of advertiser that I'm in total belief that will be value for anyone to find some practical outputs that they can go away and implement on their SEO strategy. So the next one is Schema. One of the things that we hear as SEOs is that SEO is a long-term strategy. It takes ages to implement. Well, that is kind of true, but there are things that you can do as advertisers to get some quick wins, and Schema is one of those. For people that are on the call that aren't particularly familiar with Schema, Schema is essentially some code that you add to your website, and it tells the search engines what that type of information is. It's the rich snippet information that you generally see within the search results. So there's over 800 different types of schema that you can look to implement. All of this is available on schema.org. It's all freely available. So I encourage you to go and check out those sites and look at how you could possibly apply Schema. The impact of implementing Schema is huge. Google loves this. It really loves to understand what this information is and then incorporate it into its search results. So if you do this, it really makes your brand stand out on that search results page. It can really help with branding. It encourages click-through rate. It's a really powerful, great thing to implement. You can really get this indexed quite quickly once you've got it up and live. I would say that there's generally only one result returned for this, so you need to be quick and the most relevant. And there are the common types of schema that all businesses can look to implement are FAQs, which is answering frequently asked questions about your business or a subject or topic. How-to guides, so their FAQ and how-to schema is really similar in nature, but the difference is how-tos are generally geared towards more instructional type content. FAQs are answering specific questions. A really important one for anybody that has retail stores or clicks and mortar is the opening hours and making sure that you're updating those, which we'll come on to in a minute about GMB. Breadcrumb data, helping users understand where they are within the hierarchy, search hierarchy of your site, and item availability. There are two new types of schema that have also been released of recent, and that's special announcement and event attendance mode. And this is in real response to supporting brands and organizations that around COVID-19 specifically that need to make special announcements about their business or moving events around from offline to online. If you do want to think about creating a COVID-19 statement, then the best way for you to do that is probably through the special announcement schema. This is an example of the special announcement schema in place, and you can see how that is displayed live in the search results. So there's a number of different parameters that you can look to update on this: opening hours, things that you're doing to support your staff, reassuring customers about your approach to COVID. There's a whole host of opportunities that you can leverage off the back of this schema. Another one is the FAQ schema, and you can see that in play here. This is from EasyJet, and obviously there's a lot of disruption in a number of areas now. So travel being one of those in particular is being specifically disrupted. So really answering those queries on the fly for users is really going to help them in a time when they're probably quite disappointed and frustrated. Being able to access that information really quickly without any barriers is a nice way to share that content. And this information is what is used for anybody with a Google Home or an Amazon Alexa. When people ask the questions, this is where the information is pulled from. So again, it's a really nice way of sharing your information and helping the user navigate this difficult time. And another one is, and there's 4 different types of schema that's going on here. This is from John Lewis, and the one that I've called out here is the in stock. You really don't want to you really want to support those users that are transitioning from what would have been a store experience to an online experience, and communicating your stock levels online is a really important and valuable piece of information that you can share with your potential consumers. There's other schema on here as well. There's the review ratings that are on here, which is really helpful to understand the quality of the product. If consumers aren't able to go into store and read review, ask in person about that product, they can see that it's really highly rated and well thought of or not. And there's another one that we can add here is information around delivery. If you offer free delivery, you can also incorporate this into your results. And this is a really relatively simple thing to be implementing on your site. So moving on quickly. So the third one is content. It's the bread and butter of all SEOs. And as we've kind of talked about earlier on Google Trends, identifying all of those opportunities for how you can create content and have a conversations with your users and customers in this environment. And this is something that Time Out have done and identified, relating back to the yoga trends moving from offline to online. And this is really smart because the content is evergreen. If you look at how they're talking about this this content, they don't just reference the self-isolation instance, but they're talking about working from home. So this is a piece of content that will be usable once you exit once we exit this period, the pandemic, and will serve Time Out really, really well and effectively. But you need to spend the time and effort finding those niches for your brand and how you can apply those trends. And one of those is, again, relating back to the demand for flour. Okay, demand for flour is going through the roof, but so what? What does that mean? Well, drilling down in the data, looking at things like people also ask, one of the queries that we're seeing is, how do you make bread without yeast? And picking up specifically on that FAQ and creating content on that. So on the left-hand side is what you see is the search result. On the right-hand side is the format of how the user has created that content, and creating a sequential list and bulleting it is a really, really valuable, powerful way. Google will love that. It will understand that it's a process. Sometimes it will turn some of those points and incorporate them into the content itself. But if you can see how do you make bread without yeast, the content is answering that question. So Google's incorporating that into its results page. So moving really quickly now through this, conscious that we're running out of time. Number 4 is business listings. I cannot emphasize how important for organizations that have retail stores to update this, but also the amount of information that is available to you to understand how your users are interacting and want to interact, the types of information that they're seeking. Are they coming back and asking for telephone numbers? Probably not asking for directions, but there's a load of data and analysis that you can do to help inform your strategy. What I would say is key at the moment is making sure that you update your opening hours. As you can see, Oliver Bundes has done here with closed now, and they've also indicated that pickup times, that there's available pickup from there. A really nice point here is that you don't need to update your regular hours. You can just add special hours. You don't need to change that. And if you have hundreds of stores, you can bulk edit these in one and upload those as you go. I would encourage people to update the physical location pages on your site as well. So if they do miss the GMB listing and they come direct to site, you've got information on that local page as well. And having some sort of COVID-19 statement on there will help people to understand that this information is current. At the moment, Q&As are disabled on Google My Business. That's purely because Google have reduced the number of people working on GMB, so the functionality has been taken away, but that will come back in due course. And the 5th one, we're getting to the end now, is speed. And this is a bit of an outlier that I added in here. Appreciate that this isn't a particularly quick win. It's more resource intensive and requires support from your dev team in the majority of instances. But we've seen mobile usage increase, and if you do have the bandwidth and the capacity and the time to look at increasing your page load speeds now, then it will pay dividends in the future. This has a benefit not only to SEO, but to your paid as well, as it helps improve the quality score factor there as well, so it can help reduce your CPCs. AMP is definitely something for organizations to be looking at. Wouldn't encourage retail sites to adopt AMP because of the amount of additional work that's involved within maintaining that. But if you are producing large volumes of news and updates, AMP is the best way for you to get that out and live and featured in Google's carousel. Really, really powerful way. Use this time wisely. If you do have the time to look into page load speed, you can see some really, really good improvement on rankings in your pages. And the final one, but probably the most important for you to take away, is plan and measure. Now, one of the biggest challenges we have as SEOs is really proving the value of what we do. So being able to get enterprise-wide focus on SEO and educate people internally is key to keeping SEO on the table now and in the future as we start to come out of this pandemic. And the best way to do that, as the Forrester study has pointed to, is really relating back your goals and KPIs to business measurable outcomes. And in the majority of instances, if you want to get C-suite stakeholder buy-in, that's relating it back to revenue and tying back the value of we did X, and this resulted in an uptake of X amount of revenue for your organization. So really putting in some benchmarks, planning about what you're going to do, who's required to help implement that, what you expect off the back of that, which is really, really hard to do in SEO, but not impossible. But it does pay huge dividends in your ability to keep SEO as a prioritized channel now and in the future. So that's it from me. Hopefully there's some tangible things in there for everybody to take away and think about. But let's keep SEO on the radar. Let's keep championing the value and the return on investment that SEO can really provide to brands now and in the future. That's me. Over to you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate it, and it was really fascinating. If you've got questions, everybody, please make sure you are putting them in the chat to the right. Hopefully I'm pointing in the right direction on your screen. But before we get started, I've got a question that I would like to ask you, which is, how frequently do you recommend checking Google Trends data?
I think you need to be checking it at a minimum of a daily basis at the moment. Google Trends should be bread and butter for the majority of SEOs and advertisers, but search patterns and search behavior is changing so quickly and so much in a number of different ways that continuing to have a focus on those patterns and incorporating those into your search strategy quickly, and that is a real emphasis here, is that we need to move quickly, get this up live on your site. So the sooner you can identify those, the better.
Amazing. We've got another question from Scarlett, which is, can you recommend any resources to help with Schema?
Yes. So schema.org is probably the most obvious resource to check out. That's quite tech heavy, but it will give you an idea of the types of schema that you can implement. I can send out some resources after this along with the presentation. There's an abundance of tools and technology out there for you to one, create the schema, and two, to help develop it. If you've got schema on your site already, it can help you understand where maybe you have errors or it's not working. So I can send out those resources. There's loads and loads of information about how you can get up and running on Schema.
Thank you. We'll make sure to include those in the email that we send out tomorrow. One last question before we go, because I'm aware we're running out of time. How do I get Google to index my content?
The easiest way is to use Google Search Console. Really, really easy. Once you've got new content up there, once you've maybe put schema on the page, is to just go into your Google Search Console. It's quite obvious where it is. And there's an option there for you to tell Google you have something new, you have some new content, you've changed some of the information on the page, and it will come back, crawl, and hopefully re-index your new, great, compelling, and engaging content. That's it. You still there, Lisa?
And we will see you later. Have a day, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.